Just ordinary folks in an ordinary love triangle. The wife, a beauty salon manager.
She was stabbed 11 times.
My mom was my best friend.
The husband, a local wine salesman.
He said, I hate her. She's fat, stupid, and ugly.
The mistress named Candy. And the daughter who made them pay.
It was a day I never thought would come.
International supermodel Maggie Reiser came home to find that her boozing stepdad gambled away $7 million of her money. Now the local bank admits it goofed when it cashed his checks. Ouch! Ooh. Ow! Hold on to your knee pads. It's extreme skateboarding.
Hello on this Columbus Day and welcome to A Current Affair. I'm Harris Faulkner. Tim Green is off today. An average American town with all American people. He was a local wine salesman. His wife ran a local beauty salon. Nothing to suggest their world would one day fall apart, but it definitely did. Our Michael Bryant shows us what can happen when ordinary people keep extraordinary secrets.
My mom was my best friend.
Lesley McKinney cherishes the memory of her mother, Joy Siegel-Plachet.
She loved to sing. I've been told she had a great sense of humor. I just remember her being a very pretty, loving woman.
The California beauty salon manager spent her free time doting on daughter Lesley and second husband Jerry, Lesley's stepdad. Joy's simple and selfless life made her vicious slaying in 1981 all the more astonishing.
She was stabbed 11 times as she exited her condominium.
Lesley remembers the morning her mother was murdered 24 years ago.
She was going to go get gas, then come back and take me over to my cousin's house to play with her for the day. I got up, got dressed, went lay down on the couch.
While Lesley, then 12 years old, waited inside this condominium, outside a killer lay in wait for Joy. Homicide detective Chris McShane.
The attack took place at the rear left panel of the victim's vehicle, and the victim was found on the ground next to the left front tire of her vehicle.
Joy was rushed to a local hospital where she died several hours later.
And I remember looking at my dad, and my dad saying, I have something to tell you. And for some reason, I looked at him and I said, she's dead, isn't she? And my dad nodded.
Police in the small Southern California town of Cypress were baffled by the brazen and brutal early morning attack. Then help came from an unlikely source, Lesley's own words. She had faithfully recorded events in her home each day in her diary. In the simple prose of a 12-year-old girl, police found a motive for the crime and a suspect, Lesley's stepdad, Jerry Plachet.
Approximately 4 or 5 months prior to the murder, she had a notation that said, Mom and Jerry are on the rocks, that they had been arguing, that they were not talking to one another, and that they were sleeping in separate bedrooms at that time.
In another entry, Lesley had documented the day Joy learned some devastating news. Jerry was having an affair.
Her mother apparently had discovered that Jerry Plachet was having this extramarital relationship with a woman named Candy.
Candy turned out to be Candace Restivo, a woman from a neighboring town Jerry met on his travels as a local wine salesman.
Jerry Plachet and Candace Restivo had a relationship dating back to probably before the time he met Joy and later married her.
Police now suspected Jerry Plachet, believing he had a solid motive to murder his wife. As the investigation focused on him, a chilling portrait emerged.
He said, I hate her. She's fat, stupid, and ugly. That's how he referred to her constantly.
Lesley, a co-worker of Jerry who asked that we not reveal her last name, shared with police comments Jerry had made to her about Joy.
I asked him one time, why don't you just leave her then? And he said, because she's going to be worth money someday.
Police considered another comment made in passing to be even more damaging.
He told me that he could hire a Mexican for $50 to kill someone.
Cypress cops discovered that Jerry had gotten Joy to sign a joint tenancy agreement for the condo they shared.
Basically what it meant was that if she died, instead of Lesley or her heirs getting half of the property or half of the value of the property, it all went to Gerald Plachet.
He was about to lose everything. He had been told he needed to move out of the house. His life was living off my mom. and that was about to go away.
But police had little hard evidence to link Jerry Plauché or his lover Candace Restivo to the crime.
They both ultimately admitted that they had an extramarital relationship, but were both very consistent in their statements that they didn't have any knowledge of the murder, they didn't know anything about it. They both had alibis during the time of the commission of the murder.
Like so many others, Joy's unsolved murder was relegated to the cold case file.
A couple months into it, they told me, hey, it's over.
Jerry Plauché remained a free man, resuming his relationship with Candace Restivo and enjoying a financial windfall as a result of Joy's death.
After Joy's murdered, Jerry gets $25,000 in life insurance proceeds. He gets Joy's interest in the house.
Lesley did her best to move on with her life. At 18, she joined the Navy. At 25, she married her husband, Joe McKinney, and the two eventually relocated to Florida. But there weren't enough miles on any map to separate Lesley from her love for her mother, or to separate a now grown-up Lesley from her determination to find the people responsible for her mother's death. Though Lesley tried hard to put the past behind her, Joy's unsolved murder was never far from her mind. With each passing year, she found it harder and harder to accept that her mother's killer remained free. Finally, in 1999, she flew to California and demanded that Cypress police reopen the case.
I wasn't the nicest person in the world. I told the sergeant, hey, you guys do something or I'm gonna. And if I do it, you're not gonna like the press you guys get.
Cypress police agreed to reopen the nearly 20-year-old investigation, assigning the cold case to rookie homicide detective Chris McShane.
He looked me dead in the eye and he said, well, this is my first murder case. And I thought, oh no.
I'm sure I came across to her as the green detective because that's what I was.
But within days, McShane had tracked down Candace Restivo in North Carolina. She and Jerry Plauché had split up in 1986, and she had since remarried. McShane was astonished when, with little prodding, Restivo dropped a bombshell that blew the case wide open.
She admitted that, in fact, Gerald had contacted her to find a person to beat up his wife, and she did. And she said that she had found a coworker that was willing to locate another individual to do that.
The co-worker Restivo referred to was Mike Ochoa, a former dock worker with gang ties in the Latin community. In 2000, McShane located Ochoa, living in New Mexico. Once cornered, Ochoa incriminated both Jerry and Candace, claiming that in 1981 the couple asked him to kill Jerry's wife, not beat her up, and he claimed it was a job he refused.
Mike Ochoa says, I'm not willing to do the killing myself, but I'm interested in this, and I'll find somebody for you.
Ochoa refused to say who he found to carry out the vicious crime, but Detective McShane now had enough information to arrest both Candace and Jerry, who was by now working at an auto repair store in Nevada.
No reaction at all to the arrest. Very cold, very straight-faced, and never denied that he, in all the contacts I've had with Jerry, he's never denied to me that he was a part of this murder, or that he was responsible for this murder.
McShane broke the good news to Lesley with a late-night call.
It was a day I never thought would come. And I just kind of stood in the center of my living room with the phone up to my ear, jumping up and down and crying.
In 2004 and 2005, all three defendants were tried separately, found guilty of murder, and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. One cloud to this silver lining, Joy's actual killer remains at large.
The stabber's still out there, and we're still investigating all leads, looking for that individual, and we hope to someday bring that person to justice.
Though for Lesley, seeing her stepfather in jail is enough after 24 years. She has finally achieved closure thanks to people like Detective McShane, District Attorney Haskins, her husband Joe, and a special someone looking down from above.
Mom helped. She wasn't going to let me fail at this. She put everyone exactly where they needed to be. It was all her.
Lesley says her mother's case has inspired her to go to law school to become a district attorney. Stay with us for more of A Current Affair after this.
Proving she really is a top model, Maggie Reiser says she forgives the stepdad who got drunk and gambled away her $7 million. That's next. Coming up, extreme skateboarding. Ouch. and the idle wannabes who wait and wear.